Welcome to Lesson 4 in Unit 20, A Playground for All. In this lesson, students will work to answer the question, how can we slow things down on the playground? In this lesson, students investigate how friction causes things to slow down using different surfaces. Students figure out that the surface an object is moving on applies a force called friction on the object in the opposite direction of its motion. The rougher the surface, the higher the friction force, and the smoother the surface, the lower the friction force. Students make connections to the storyline by learning how friction can be used to make objects move slower on a slide, and completing their design of a piece of playground equipment that can go both fast and slow. There are several opportunities for ELA cross-curricular connections throughout the lesson. You can look for specific standard connections in the Unit 20 Teacher Guide. This lesson will take approximately 3 to 4 days to complete. To begin the Engage portion, you'll ask students questions about slides on the playground, and if they think all kids like moving fast on the playground, and whether or not some might like to slow things down. You'll show kids the slide video of students on the playground and ask what they notice and wonder. You'll revisit the driving question board and highlight any questions connected to the learning goals of this lesson by calling attention to questions about how we can slow things down on the playground. For the Explore portion, you'll have students turn and talk about what they wonder about how to make a slide slower. You'll then show students the materials for this investigation. Before beginning, you'll demonstrate to students how the spring scale works to measure how much force is being applied. You'll ask students what they observe about the different surfaces and how they could use the materials to investigate how to make a slide slower. You can post and discuss the texture vocabulary card. You'll divide students into 6 groups and have them work together to complete the investigation using the Changing the Surface student journal page. Be sure to see the tutorial slides that detail the setup and procedure for this investigation. For the Explain portion, you'll bring the class together and lead a discussion about students' observations from the investigation. You'll use the provided questions to guide your discussion around the question, how can we slow things down on the playground? The goal of this class discussion is to have students share their observations about friction and their thoughts and ideas about how it affects their playground design. You'll use the discussion to create the Lesson 4 summary chart. From the discussion, students should understand that learning about friction can allow us to design playground equipment that can go fast or slow. Some kids find it fun to go faster, while others like to go slower. During the discussion, you'll use the Lesson 4 friction simulation to introduce key ideas about friction. This is where students will be introduced to the key vocabulary. Be sure to see the video tutorial for this simulation. You can post and discuss the friction vocabulary card. You'll then pair up student groups and have them create diagrams of the forces at work in the Changing the Surface investigation using the Modeling Frictional Force student journal page. You'll encourage them to use evidence and data from the Changing the Surface investigation. For the Elaborate portion, you'll complete the summary chart discussion by asking how learning about friction connects to designing a fun playground. You'll also divide students into the architectural design teams and revisit the architectural design process student journal page. You'll share that they will develop the model for component number 2 in the Designing a Playground Component 2 student journal page. Students will reference the Designing a Playground Component 2 rubric for what to include in their design. If you're using physical materials, have them ready for this section. For the Evaluate portion, you'll have students complete the Section 1 Summative Assessment. To support student sense-making across the unit, you'll orient them back to the driving question board. Ask, did we answer any of the questions on our driving question board? If there are questions that have been answered, you'll remove them from the driving question board and place them on the summary charts. You can use this as an opportunity to answer the section driving question, how can we make our playground more fun? By the end of this lesson, students will have planned and conducted an investigation to explore how objects exert force on each other and how friction can affect the way objects move. In Lesson 5, students begin investigating collisions on the playground. For more information about this unit, visit mysitepartners.com.